Hey everybody, it's me, Jesse, and today we're going to work with some GraphQL queries and we're going to work with dates. So dates in the AWS format and also dates in the JavaScript format. So it's going to be a little tricky because working with dates is always tricky, but I think this will be helpful for anybody watching this that has to work with dates in JavaScript, and especially trying to convert the dates in AWS to JavaScript dates is a little tricky. But I think I've got it figured out. So that part at least, I think we're good on. But let me show you the designs for this project. This is part of a series, so I've done maybe what is this? This is part 7. So I've done 6 other live streams about this particular project, which is like an admin panel. So I don't know if I've ever showed the designs for this admin panel, but I'm going to show them now. I'm going to bring over the designs here and show you what we're working on today. All right, so we've implemented some of this page, right? We don't have any of the analytics stuff. And I left off a bunch of this behavior and action stuff because you can just click on view details and see it all anyway. But this status of whether or not it's active, that would be nice to see just at a glance, whether something's active or inactive. So in order to do that, we're going to have to get the dates. So the start and end date, and then we're going to have to get today's date and then compare all those dates. And if the ad falls within that date range, then we can say the status is active. Otherwise, we're going to say the status is inactive. That's what I'd like to accomplish in today's stream. If we accomplish that, then maybe we'll try to get some more of this stuff in. But if we just get that working today, I think we'll be good. We're going to use the DateFns library to help us out with this. It's kind of like an alternative to Moment.js, which from what I understand, Moment.js is no longer being actively maintained. So DateFns is a good alternative. And that's what we're going to use. So I'm going to pull this over to my other screen and keep an eye on it. But mostly we're going to be working in the code. So let's go in here. And if anybody watching and has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I'll answer as many questions as I can. The stream's gonna be, let me double check my calendar real quick so I can know how long we can stream for. I think we're good for at least an hour. Yeah, maybe. Looks like I have a meeting in about 55 minutes. So I thought my meeting was later today, but I guess it got changed. So let's find our component. This is going to be our, at first, our business profile detail page. So we're on a business profile detail page, and we're already getting this data. Okay, so we're using GraphQL. This is our GraphQL query. All right, we're getting a business profile. We're passing in the ID of that profile. All right, so we can get the data back. And we want to focus on this advertisements part. So for each advertisement, we're getting all of this data. So we're already getting the start date and the end date. All right, that's what we need. So we won't have to change our query, which is good. All right, so, but what we need to do is actually use this data, which we aren't doing now. Now we're getting this data in as an AWS date format, which we need to change that a bit. Now I already figured out how to convert that format back into something that JavaScript can read, and we're doing that in our edit ad set component. So where are we at? All right, let me try to find it. Edit add set. So in edit add set, we are converting it like this. All right, so we're using parse from DateFns. So let's leave this up on the screen. Let's pull in our import for DateFns. And I don't know if we'll need format. I'll leave it in for now, but we definitely need parse. And let's make a function. And our function is going to be const is active. And it's going to return a Boolean. All right, so it's going to return either true or false. But we need to pass in our start date. And our end date. And let's go with we'll do a format. We'll format our dates first, or we'll parse our dates first, right? Because we want to get them in JavaScript format, so they'll be easier to work with. So let me just copy and paste this. Let's end. Let's go start and end. So if we take this out, and we could use our start date. Oops, forgot the equals. Let's say end. All right. So we got our start date and our end dates. And we need our current date. And we'll just say is new date. All right, so start date and current. Now what we need to do is figure out how we're going to figure out whether the date's in between the range. So if anybody has any ideas for this, let me know. My idea is I'm going to search to see if there's some sort of easy way to do this in JavaScript. My backup idea is we could potentially convert the date into a date, like just a string of, I forget what the start date is, but basically just a string of numbers, and it's the time since some event happened, like maybe when Linux first came out or something. There's some historic computer science event that happened, and we can get the number of seconds or something since that time happened. Then we can just compare with math, baby, basically greater than or less than signs. Okay, so that's my second option if this option doesn't work. So let's say I'm searching on my other screen right now. Find out if a date falls within a range. JavaScript. So let's see. Stack Overflow. Check if a date is within a range. Perfect. I'll pull this over here so we can look at it together. All right, this is interesting. The end date. All right, so let's look at this code for a second. Are we splitting? All right, so interesting. So this is going to be, all right, they're splitting this out to get the day, month, and year. And just comparing it. If it's as easy as that, I guess we could try it. We could do some tests with that. It didn't even occur to me the job, like, it would already be handled. Like, all right, let's try that out. Move this back over to my other screen. And let's just say, return, I don't know how we can do, I don't want to return yet. Let's console log right now. Console log. First, we could do a little test. Start is less than end. See what we get from that, because the start should always be less than the end. So we could, I guess, see what our date is for this. When are we gonna do this? Set business profile. Yeah, we could do it after that. So let's go with is active. We'll get to business profile, and then we will say advertisements dot map, and we're gonna say what do we call this? Is active. Is active. And we're gonna add in add dot start dates. End date. All right, so what this is gonna do, what this should do, I guess we don't need a map. Let's do for each add. Advertisements dot items. There we go. That should work. Well, it should work, but we're getting an error on there. So let's go with all right. Let's see if this works. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to take each advertisement and pass in the start date and end date into our function. And then we're trying to see whether it returns. What we should get is for each one. Now, assuming each ad set has a start and end date, which I think they should, because I think that's required. We should get true for each of these, because the start date should always be earlier than the end date. Okay, so this is just kind of a test to see if our logic is working here in comparing dates. So let's save that. And I have the, let's see. Amon, hey, how's it going? Great to see you in the chat. For those of you who don't know Amon, he writes a ton of awesome articles on React Native, so definitely check out Amon's stuff. online. It's really, really good content. I'm trying to find my, there it is. Let's pull this over and see what came out in the console. Anything? All right, let's try this again. Let's actually go to the right page too, because I don't think we're on the right page. All right, view details. All right, we got 3 trues and a false, which is weird because we only have 2 ad sets. How did that? I don't know how that worked. Probably because we didn't filter out the deleted ad sets. So that's one issue. Um, Hey, Amon says, I'm good. How are you? Not too bad. It's Monday. Mondays are always tough for me to get going in the morning, but um, I got a late start today, but I did go to the gym. I did work out, which always helps me feel better. And I set a goal like I'm just going to do one Pomodoro session to get started and get something done. And once I got going, then I kind of got the hang of things, decided, all right, I'm going to stream. So it worked out good, and I definitely recommend that. Like, first of all, getting some type of exercise in the morning is great to help you just for your mental health and your physical health. But then to get started after a weekend, just to say, like, if you could just bring yourself to start that Pomodoro timer, that 25-minute timer, and say, I'm going to focus on work for this 25 minutes. Sometimes that's all you need to get yourself going. And after that 25 minutes, like for me, the timer went off and I just kept working. You're supposed to stop at the 25 minutes and take a 5-minute break, but I just kept working and finished what I was working on. So I got so into the work. I went from before the 25 minutes feeling overwhelmed, like how am I going to even get started today, to after that 25 minutes not being able to stop. So sometimes that's all you need. But anyway, thank you for asking, Emma. And Amon said, thanks for the shout out coming from you. That means a lot. Oh, I appreciate that because just I admire your work a lot. So you just being in my live chat is a big honor for me. So thank you. All right. So I think our logic is working because it's possible with those deleted ad sets that some of them were tests and didn't even have dates. So maybe that's why we're getting the false. But now we have something to go from now. So I think we can move forward. We already kind of found one bug in the code in that we're not filtering out deleted ad sets. So let's filter those out. So what we can do is we can say, we'll put that down below here, and let's put a dot filter, and we'll say add. So we're going to filter the ads, and we only want ads that are add dot deleted, that aren't deleted, right? So now if we run this, I'm going to take up a smaller amount of the screen here. And we just really need to look at this side. And everybody hopefully can see our terminal. So now if we save this, we shouldn't get as many. All right, cool. So we have 2 trues, which probably can't see that because it's down too low. But down here below, 2 trues. Now we can also test this and say, if start is greater than n, we should get falses. Yep, we get falses. Now we want to say that we want to see if the start date is less than the current date, and the current date is less than the end date. Is that going to work or not? Cannot be applied to types Boolean and date. Interesting. Maybe we need to parse this the same as, let's do this. All right, so this date is not in the same format as the other dates. Let's see if we can put it in the same format if we do it like this. I don't know if this is going to work, but let's just try. Actually, I thought new date just automatically gave today's date, but maybe it doesn't. Yeah, it does. It should give us today's date. Okay, so let's try this. All right, so it's expecting a date string. So that's what we need. I'm interested to see what the difference is between these formats. I guess I don't need to see it right now. What we need to do is turn date into a string. Amon says, "Come on, I've learned a lot from your live streams. It's always a pleasure." Oh, awesome. I'm very, makes me very happy to hear that. All right. So let's see what we need to do. Basically, we need to make this date a string. So I'm searching turn JavaScript date into string. Can we just say toString? I think we can. So I think we could do current is, let's do, I wonder if this will work. New dates. I think we'll have to do date first. Current date equals new dates. And a new date that's empty, where you pass no parameters in, should give us the today's date. And now if we say current dates dot to string, should give us a date string. So we should be able to do our parse. See if that'll work. Yeah. It's still saying that we can't apply this to, why can't we apply this? So it in our, it's telling us that we can't apply this even though these should all be the same now. But we actually did get trues in our console. So you can't see it because my head is in the way, but so we're getting trues in the console. So I wonder if, let's see. Let's just ignore that. See if it'll, we do TS ignore, if that'll work. All right, cool. So we're getting two trues. Now we can take one of these and edit it. So right now it should be between 5/19/2021. All right, so let's change this. So what's today's date? The 24th. We'll change the date to be the 28th. 8th. So this should return false if our logic is correct. All right, so that's updated successfully. Uh-oh. What happened? We just lost one. We lost an ad set. Let's check our response from GraphQL. Advertisements, item, deleted, true. 2 items deleted. When we saved that ad set, somehow it got removed. We may have found another bug, so it wasn't doing that before. $519, $529. I'm gonna refresh again just to double check. All right, well, let's create a new ad set. This one is returning true currently, and we know it's returning true, or we know it's supposed to return true, okay, because we just saw the dates. Let's create a new one and test. Let's say this date test. Date test. And I'm gonna try to not do, let's go 25. We'll set it to tomorrow's date. And then we'll go to website because that's easy. Sample.com. Let's save it. All right, it says it's created successfully. So hopefully it is. If we go back. All right, now we see 2 of these. We're getting true for both of them, which is not what we want. So our logic might be messed up. Let's verify our data. All right, so we have start date. No, that's just not it. We want this one, which is our date test. So the start date is the 25th, and the end date is the 29th. Okay, so that shouldn't be correct. So it shouldn't return true. The start date. So what we want is start date less than current date, and current date less than end date. So let's just console log start. We'll do 3 console logs. I could probably have done that better. We could have done it all in one, but that's just the first thing that came to my mind. Start, end, current. I want to see what they look like. Invalid date. So we're getting an invalid date. So that's the problem. So maybe to... Oh, I know what we could do. We can turn our today's date into exactly the same type of date. So in our component, so let's see, when we publish, we format the date like this. if we format the date like this, again, this is going to be a little bit silly, I think, just because of how like we're formatting the date twice, but I think this is going to work. So format the date, and this is going to be current date. Let's see if we need this anymore. It's still going to make us have that? No, so yes, it will. But look, now we're getting a real date. But so we're getting a real date, but actually our logic is messed up. It's not actually working. What we could do is look at how we can format these differently. So parsing the date like this maybe is not the best way to do it. What we could do instead is just take our start date, our end date, and then our formatted current date and try to compare those and see what we get from that. I told you the dates were going to be tricky at the beginning, and I was not wrong. Dates are always tricky. All right, let's get rid of this parse stuff. Well, actually, let's just comment it out in case we need it again. So we can just directly say start date, end date. Let's comment this out. We're making a mess of our code, but I think it'll be worth it if we can get it working. All right, so our dates are now looking like this, which is still not the right format because we should be getting true and then false, or one should be true and one should be false based on the data. All right, but that's not what's happening. So we got to try again. All right. I need someone who's a date expert in here. So let's fall back on my second plan, which I said at the beginning of the stream, which is to change this into, let's see, what is that? I can't remember what it's called. I'm going to repeat it because if somebody remembers what this is called, it'll probably speed things up. But there's a way you can get the date in programming that just gives you a number that's just a bunch of either seconds or milliseconds since a certain event happened in programming. I think it is since Linux was founded or something like that. I'm just going to look up JavaScript date methods on MDN. Let's pull this over and let's see. Yes, the number of milliseconds since January 1st. Yeah, we can just do date.parse. Sweet, let's try that. Since January 1st, 1970. And it doesn't explain why it's January 1st, 1970. And we could do date.now, current time, number of milliseconds elapsed. Sweet. So we should be able to replace one of our lines with date.now and then also do date.parse. Cool. All right, so our date here is going to end up being, date.now. And then our start and end dates, we'll bring these back. And let's see. So we are parsing these into valid dates. Where was that? Gonna bring this back up. Date.parse. Parse is a string representation of a date and returns the number. Date.utc. So I should be able to just add .parse to the end. Let's see. No, it's not linear. It does not exist on type date. All right, TypeScript is telling me that doesn't exist on type date. But MDN is telling me that it does. I guess we could try .utc. All right, so that's legit. It's telling us you type error. Hey, Niki's here. How's it going? I'm doing all right. Dates. All right, let's try to TS ignore these and just see if we can get it to work, since it worked earlier. We ignored it and we're able to actually get dates. We'll see if this works. Oh, undefined. All right, then. Thought that was going to work for us, but evidently it's not. We can check the DateFns documentation. Let's do that. Let's leave this up for now. Documentation. That's what we need. All right. If you haven't used DateFns, it is pretty cool. Wait a second. Do they have compare? Interesting. Let's see what that does. Common helpers. Compare two dates and return one if the first date is after the second. -1 if the date is before the second. Or 0 if the dates are equal. Okay. This seems like what we need. We could use this. Oh, this is after. Is the first date after the second one. And it returns a Boolean. Sweet. All right, let's try this. So we could say the date to compare. All right, we could do that. All right, let's try that. Oh, Nikki said you could check the example usages on MDN. Yeah, I should have done that. That's a good idea. Oh, you got to put the date inside there. Actually, let's give that a shot. So Nikki had a great idea. Uh, Farid, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but Farid joined the chat and said, "Hey, how's it going?" So Nikki had a great idea and said, "Why don't you check the usage?" Which I didn't do. And this is what happens when you check the usage. Not sure why that didn't occur to me, but let's try this out. See what we get. Oh, sweet. Cool. All right, now let's try our what the heck cannot be applied operator cannot be applied to types boolean and number. All right. We should not be getting. Okay. All right, let's split this up because maybe I think the problem is let's see. Current is less than. There we are. That's the okay. So in the first case, let's see, we're getting true true. In the second case, we're getting false true, which I believe is now correct. We can double check, I guess. I don't really want to go through all these numbers. 16218. So 16218 is 1622 16219. Yes, this is correct. The logic works out in this case. Finally. Shout out to Nikki for calling me out on not reading the documentation. Hey, Mariana's here. Mariana is on my team at Tabella, which is the company that I work for. Thanks for joining. Yeah, Nikki explained. So Nikki's explained what I should have said out loud. What I finally realized and why I split these up is that what I was doing was trying to compare. So I was doing start and current, which JavaScript was doing that and returning a boolean, and then trying to compare that boolean to end. Right. So it was I couldn't do it all at once, so I have to do it twice. So now we're essentially going to have two values, and we're going to have to return. Well, here's what we're gonna have to do. We're gonna get rid of these console logs, and we're gonna say const is how are we gonna name these? Naming is always the hard part. Um, is after start. So if it's true, that means it's after start. I have a feeling that all of the stuff I'm doing here could be refactored significantly and be better. And then this is going to be const equals const is before end equals current end. There we go. And now we're going to return is after start. Let's see if this works. And is before end. So what this should say is if is after start and is before end are both true, it'll return true. But if one of them is false, it'll return false. Let's see if we can get rid of this. No. It does work, but TypeScript doesn't like it. All right. We'll put back in the TS ignore. And I have a feeling there's probably a way to do this where we don't have to parse. So like basically we're parsing twice. There's probably a way that we could only parse one. Like DateFns maybe has a way where we could just immediately do this. Yeah. I'm not going to try it right now cuz I'm almost out of time. But what we could do now is say we'll just console log this function, which this function now returns a Boolean. And we should get true false. Yes, we got true false. Awesome. So I think that works. Now, down here, we could say we'll pass in is active. I didn't realize that we were already passing this into our ad set. We probably could put all this in the ad set component, but for now I'm just going to pass in is active. Should I do that or should we move it? Let's see. I think maybe we should move it, right? I'd rather keep this component less complex. So let's do that. Because then we can get rid of this filter. Yeah. Let's get rid of all this stuff. I think we can do this in less lines of code if we move it. So our ad set component here, our ad set component is now going to be the home for the function that we just created. Okay. Let's make sure I didn't. There we are. And we need to pull in where we bring in DateFns. We don't need this format. And then what we can do is we can put, so right now we have our buttons here, but we need some buttons over here. We may already have cool, we already have it in the code. So let's uncomment this, see what it looks like. Whoops. When I commented this out, must have done it in the weirdest way possible. There we go. All right, cool. So we have this inactive and stopped 1 week ago. I don't want to put in stopped 1 week ago right now. So we'll comment that out. But now inactive is going to be, let's see. Let's copy this. And let's say, there's a couple ways we could do this. I'm doing it in kind of like a way that's going to add more code, but I think it'll be fine like this. Is active, and we're going to pass in start date, end date, and if it is active, then we're going to add in this, and we're going to say it's active. Whoops. And we're going to make the colors dot. Let's see what colors we have. There's no red in our colors thing. So we're going to have to do, just going to say red. There we are. And then if we're not active, we're going to put our normal typography, right? So one of these should have active and one should have inactive. Now for the moment of truth, yes, right? One ad set is active and another one is inactive. Sweet, we finished it, and I have 5 minutes left before my meeting. So very excited about this. I actually completed what I set out to. I've been doing a pretty good job lately of completing what I set out to in my live streams, but usually I haven't been attempting and challenging enough. This one was perfectly challenging for the amount of time that we had. I guess I'm going to use up the last couple of minutes here answering questions, if we have any questions. Michael says, are you trying to do a check if the current date is between two other dates? That's exactly what I'm trying to do. If it's between two dates, which we eventually got to. Now, let's see, active and inactive. I wonder if we should do a different color for active. I think we should do green. Like green light should be active, right? I wonder if lime green. I wonder if that's a legit color. Probably not. Yeah, nice. Lime green. It's kind of hard to see, but cool. I like that. It's a useful feature. Now we can immediately see whether it's active or inactive. Otherwise, you would have had to go in to edit ad set and look at the dates and see what the dates are. It would take like a thought process to go through and do that. So I think that works. That's a nice feature. Cool. All right, awesome. So I gotta go to a meeting in about 3 minutes now, so I'm gonna end the stream. But I think this was a good stream. Thanks for joining everybody that watched. Thank you for watching. Everybody that um, put something in the chat. Thank you so much. A couple of people asked me how I was doing, so I answered that question earlier on. So I really appreciate you asking me how I'm doing. If you want a long answer, you can go back in the stream, like towards the beginning, and I talk about that. But for everybody did ask, I'm doing all right. I'm doing pretty good. I'm not gonna go into the explanation again, but basically I'm doing pretty good. And I'll see y'all maybe tomorrow. I'm recording a podcast, and I got invited to be on someone's podcast. So I don't know if I'm gonna live stream or not. We'll see. I might try to save my energy for the podcast, or maybe I'll use the live stream as a warm up for the podcast. We'll see. But I'm definitely gonna try to stream at least one other time this week. And hopefully more than one other time this week. And I'll put it on Twitter if I stream. If you want to know and get notifications when I stream, subscribe to my channel and then click to get notified. That way you won't have to watch on Twitter, and you always know you don't have to watch, but at least you'll get notified. And then if you want to, you can watch. But I'll see y'all later. Thank you so much again for joining me, and have a great day.